All right, guys, so this is your quick instructional video over Unit 1. I'm just going to let you know your expectations, what's in the unit, and what you need to complete, okay? And so we're in Unit 1. It goes over chapters 1 through 5, and then you have a written assignment at the bottom. This is a very fast class, so you do have quite a bit in each one of your units. So make sure you have enough time to complete them. This right here accesses your textbook. So it's right here in the unit for you. All you have to do is click here, and it will take you to your textbook and you get to read it online, okay? Expectations for this unit are to read chapters 1 through 5 and complete your reading assignment 1. So looking at each of these, obviously the first thing you want to do is access your textbook. So when you click here, it's going to take you to a separate website. You're going to view your course materials, okay? You may have more than one. And when you start reading, it will take you to the first page. It will look something like this, okay? And you're going to read, all right, and then continue as you would any other chapter, whether it's a tangible book in your hand or one online. There are places you can create a bookmark. You can click play, and I believe it reads it to you. If you're not a big reader word for word, I'm going to tell you right now that you have to read this textbook, okay? This is the big part of the class. So if you're somebody who maybe just can't do it, either let it read it to you or do what I call interactive reading. Get yourself a piece of paper or a notebook of some kind with a pencil, and each chapter always kind of has a heading before they start talking about something new. So in this chapter 1, the Azande, this one is witchcraft and sorcery. So write down the words witchcraft and sorcery and then scan the title until you can answer the question, what is the witchcraft and sorcery of the Azande? All right, so that way you are saying, okay, so witchcraft is actually a physical property that resides in some individuals, okay? They call this Mengu, all right? Sorcery actually differs from witchcraft. And so take like small notes so you're interactively reading the chapter. That way you don't have to read it word for word. And once you've found your answer, you can click to the next title. So oracles, turn that into a question. What are the oracles of the Azande? Answer that question, move to the next page. Okay, accusing a witch. What does it mean to accuse a witch? Boom, answer the question, move to the next page. All right, every time you see a title, turn that title into a question, answer the question, and then move on. That's called interactive reading, and it's actually kind of been proven to help you retain more when you read this way versus just reading word for word. However, if you are a reader, this textbook is formulated to tell a story of a culture. Okay, and so it's more interesting than your typical textbook. It takes one culture. As you can see, your first chapter is over the Azande. That's a culture that has been studied, and the person that lived within that culture and did that study wrote all this information. And it's basically a story of these people that exist. They exist today. It talks about who they are as a culture, what they do, their beliefs, their values, their food, their social habits, all of that. And so if you like a story about culture, read it word for word. It even gives you where they're at today, okay? And so this is how you access your textbook. You're going to be reading for this unit, you're going to be reading chapters 1 through 5, okay? I've given you supplemental chapter material. So you see this folder right here. If you click into it, you will have 5 different folders that contain supplemental learning material. Now, supplemental learning material is just that. It helps you understand what you read in the chapter. So if you click in here, you see that you have not only a PowerPoint about the Azande, you have a film that discusses their witchcraft, and then you have another link to everyday culture that relates to the Azande. So every supplemental material is a little bit different. If you look at chapter 3, there's a lecture on the Missouri, and then there is a Prezi presentation on it, okay? And so no two supplemental folders look alike, but what this is meant to do is to help enhance your reading. So I can't stress this enough. Your textbook is your main resource in this course. And what you're going to want to do is use the supplemental material just to help your understanding. Sometimes visuals help when you're reading a textbook. All right. But when it comes to the quizzes, all questions have been taken directly from the textbook. Okay. So the supplemental material is there if you want it. You don't have to view it. It is optional, but you do have to get into the textbook and read the chapters. So in Unit 1, we've talked about how you access your textbook. Here's the supplemental material. Here are your 5 quizzes. Take them in order. Don't jump around. It's easier to do 1 through 5 than 5, 3, 2, 1, something to that effect. You'll notice they're all different. Chapter 1 is multiple choice. Chapter 2 is fill in the blank. Chapter 3 is a little bit of both. The thing that is the same is that on every quiz, there's no time limit. You can use your book if you want to, and you have 2 attempts, and I will take the highest grade. Okay, so these can be fail-proof if you do it just right. However, do not click on Chapter 1 quiz without ever accessing or looking at Chapter 1 in your textbook. I can tell how long you've spent on a quiz, and Blackboard eventually times you out. Okay, so make sure you're familiar with the material before you try and take the quiz. All right, it will not benefit you just to try and do it. And then the other thing is, do not Google your questions, because there are very specific answers to these questions. And if you have some version that's not in the textbook, I will not give you credit for that. All right. Your textbook is your #1 resource. Use it. So again, chapters 1 through 5, and then you have your reading assignment. So your reading assignment is your first of your 3 written assignments. I've provided you with PDF pages. It's a different reading. So you can click into this assignment. This is how you submit it. It tells you the due date. It tells you how many points it's worth, and it gives you the instructions. Okay. Right here is the PDF of the book that you're going to read. It's an excerpt from a different book. I want to show you when I scanned it in here. Obviously, it scanned weird. Use this little button to flip it the right way, right here. Okay, every page will then flip the right way. You just have to do it the one time. Okay. If you don't want to read it, instead you want to listen to it, I have given you the audiobook version. This is the entire audiobook, so you don't want to listen to the whole book. You want to start it at the 2-hour, 25-minute mark and let it play until you reach the end of Solo's story in chapter 7. Okay? Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to read or listen to a few excerpts from the book Where Am I Eating? You're going to construct a well-formatted 500-word essay. When I say well-formatted, I'm talking college standards, okay? What you're going to do within that essay is you're first going to provide me with a short summary of the reading, okay? Then you're going to discuss at least 3 key points or ideas that stand out to you and why you think they are interesting or relevant. And then last, you're going to create a conclusion with how you might use the information that you learned from this book to become a more educated consumer. A consumer is a buyer of things, okay? Also include any questions or concerns you might have about this reading, all right? Always cite your information that you take from the reading using APA format. If you aren't familiar with APA format, I also take MLA, but I've given you resources in your course resource folder to help you understand both formats. APA is what I prefer, okay? So you have this written essay as well in Unit 1, all right? So brief recap, this is your link to your textbook. It's your #1 resource. Get in there and read it in any way you can, okay? Supplemental materials that go with your textbook, optional, but very, very helpful, okay? Chapters 1 through 5, you're going to do all of the quizzes, and then you're going to do your reading assignment #1, which is a 500-word essay that completes these instructions that I've given you, okay? All right, if y'all guys have any questions about Unit 1, let me know.